Let's talk about lenses. So we've got a relatively new system at this point in time, and we have a growing collection of lenses from Canon. Let's talk about some of the particulars that are going on here. As I mentioned towards the beginning of this class, Canon has 4 different lines of cameras and lenses, you might say. This R5 fits into the RF lens mount, which uses RF lenses, and that's the way you're going to get the most out of the camera, the most features. Everything works just perfectly and beautifully. It's a great system. However, you can use EF and EF lenses with the correct adapter, and I'll show you those adapters here in a moment. Now, Canon has made a lot of cameras in the full-frame DSLR category, like the Canon 5D Mark IV, which has the EF mount and the EF lenses. Those EF lenses can be adapted using the right adapter. The cropped frame DSLRs, like the 90D, also share the EF lens mount. They can use EF lenses, and they also have EFS lenses, which are specially designed for those with a little smaller crop circle. You can use those EFS lenses on the RF, but it's not an ideal choice because it doesn't show you the whole image frame. It's going to be a cropped image within the frame. Now, in a completely different category, although it sounds similar, it's completely different. The EFM mount uses EFM lenses, and they are not compatible with the R5 in any way, shape, and form at this time. Even if they could be adapted, you're not going to get the full sensor performance out of it because they're not designed for a full sensor camera. Looking to the lenses themselves, we're going to have our red line for our alignment mark. Most all lenses are going to have an AF and manual focus option on it. Some lenses, like this 24-105, have a zoom lock on it, and that's there designed to prevent lens creep. So I'm going to see if I can show you this on the side of the lens over here. So we can lock this so that the zoom lens does not work. See, sometimes when you're carrying the lens, it will kind of extend outwards because the weight kind of wants to pull it when you're hanging it over your neck with the shoulder. So you can lock this in so it stays in its locked position. Not all lenses have that. It's just something to feature on some of the zoom lenses. Obviously, zoom lenses will have a zoom ring. Most all lenses are going to have a manual focus ring. And most all lenses are going to have a control ring. And this is a lot of fun because you can program the control ring to do one of many different functions. And so we're going to talk more about this when we get into the customization feature, but you can have it control ISO, shutter speed, aperture, or a variety of other options. Now, one of the interesting things that's kind of a little secret for some people is that when you turn this ring, it clicks. Okay, the fact that it clicks is not the secret. The secret is still coming. All right, so that clicks. You can actually send these lenses to Canon, and for a modest price, and I don't know what the modest price is, but we can all guess. The modest price, you can have it declicked. And so if you want to have it control apertures because you shoot movies and you want to be able to control the exposure and you don't want to hear the clicking, you can have them declicked. And so you need to check with your Canon repair facility as to can they do it to yours and exactly what that costs. I'd be kind of interested to know. I have a feeling it's not as cheap as we would all like it to be. So virtually all lenses are going to have little notches on the end of it for attaching a lens mount, and lenses typically have a specified lens mount for it. And so you want to make sure that you use the correct lens hood, which is designed to stop flare and ghosting from lights that are off to the side hitting the front of the lens. It's going to improve image quality and might also help you in some sort of bump drop situation where maybe you'll lose a lens hood and maybe that's it. So generally it's wise to use a lens hood in most all situations. All right, so one of the cool things that you can do in the menu system, what we'll look at later, but right now I want to talk about with lenses, is you can change the rotation of the lens. Now most people don't want to do this, but let's say if you were transitioning from a Nikon camera to a Canon camera, welcome to the side of Canon. And you're not used to changing focus in that direction because Canon and Nikon focus in opposite directions. And rather than change what you've learned over all your years, you just want to change the way the lens works, you can go into the AF5 menu options and change the direction of the rotation. Now, one that I have found useful is you can change the sensitivity of the focusing ring. You see, still photographers and movie shooters have a very different desire when it comes to focusing rings. From a still photographer's perspective, there is a variable speed that is nice to have so that you can move it very quickly to kind of get to the other end of focus or near where you want to get. And then when you slow down, the focusing slows down so that you can get very precise. It's a very easy way to manually focus on a subject when you want to get very precise focus. It allows you to just get it right in. Now, when you're shooting movies, a lot of times you'll have a situation where you want to go from subject A to subject B. And if you practice with the lens, it's like, okay, we're going to get the scene down, we're going to get it blocked out right. And okay, so we start here and I turn it here. I turn it here and then I turn it here. Oh, because I moved it more slowly, it doesn't hit at the right time. And so by changing it to a linear, you can know that when you move it from here to here and back, no matter how fast you move it, you know that as soon as you go from A to B, you have focused from A to B. And so it's much easier to repeat and get things practiced and set exactly right when you're shooting and manually focusing with your movies. And so some people actually prefer that when they're just manually focusing for still photography. And so it's a matter of personal preference, and it's really nice that you can easily make that change. All right, let's look at some of the lenses. Let's start with the fast zooms. Canon came out quick and fast with our fast 2.8 zoom lenses. So your 24 to 70 is your workhorse for most people in most situations. Now you will notice as I list the information here, I'm going to list how many stops of image stabilization the lens has, and I'm going to list two numbers. One is how much does the lens have on its own, and how much does the lens have combined with the stabilization of the body itself. So the other great lenses are going to be the L series lenses with that red stripe around the lens. We have our wide angle 15 to 35. We have our new telephoto, which is extra compact. And to all those Canon haters out there, and I know there's a lot of you out there probably not watching this class, but you can relay this onto the Canon haters that seem that Canon never innovates that much. Well, with all of these lenses, they've done something one notch better than they've ever done before. The 24 to 70, they added image stabilization. Yeah, I know Nikon and some other companies have already done that. But now they've taken their 16 to 35, they stretched it down to 15 to 35. They've taken the 70 to 200 and they've made a more compact 70 to 200 2.8 than has ever been made before. And then they had to up themselves once again and make a 28 to 70, which used to be the standard for a normal workhorse lens, and they made it an f2 lens. And so this is a gargantuan lens. It's hugely expensive. It's a fantastic quality lens, and for somebody who shoots regularly in that focal range, having that f2 aperture, as I say, it's a heavy lens, but in the right place and in the right time, that is a great lens for some people. Now, Canon is as fond as any other company of coming up with a special feature and giving it a name, giving it a letter, and they get to put that letter on the lens. And so these are little badges of accomplishment that a particular lens has. And so I'm not going to go through all of these. I'll leave them up on screen so you can kind of check them out while we go through some of these other lenses. So there's a bunch of other lenses that you want to know about. I am a big fan of the f4 constant lenses. I think they're great for travel and general photography. The 24 to 105, long time been a great walk around lens. The new 70 to 200 is a extra compact lens. The secondary 24-105 may not be the best lens in the lineup. I haven't actually shot with it, but with an aperture that goes down to 7.1, it's mainly designed for people who want to have something inexpensive and very lightweight on the camera. Optically, it's probably still pretty good. 24 to 240 for those who need a gigantic zoom, and the new 100 to 500. It's pretty much the same as the 100 to 400. They've just given us another 100 millimeters on the focal length. Yeah, I know they charged us for it, but we got it for the same size without any real cost of aperture in the 100 to 400 range. They are coming out with some absolutely premium prime lenses. All of these lenses are going to be fantastic options out there. Sharpest lenses you're going to find in this category, I think. They are going to be excellent, also a little on the pricey side, but they are something that should last you a decade or more. They also have some nice series of, well, relatively affordable prime lenses. It's a small collection now, but I expect it to grow in the future. They're also coming pretty hard and fast with the telephoto crowd. Granted, left side and right side of the screen are completely different lenses. The 400 and the 600 are basically rebadged lenses from their EF line with an extender attached onto them. And they don't make a lot of sense because a lot of those photographers who are using those already have those, and it might be more versatile just to use the adapter, but at least they have something natively for it out there. My guess is down the road they're going to come out with a version 2 of these lenses, and they're going to be made a little bit smaller, a little bit more designed specifically for mirrorless. And the 600 and 800 on the left side of the screen, well, those are interesting and they really haven't been done before. They are slow as molasses at f11, but under the right lighting, it's going to be a great compact lens for somebody who might want to go backpacking and take a long lens for wildlife photography, where they do have a lot of light to work with. And so some interesting lens choices. I think there's some nice options. Be aware that you can add the new teleconverters to all of these to extend the range out, albeit at slower apertures. Now, I have mentioned a number of times about a lens adapter for using EF lenses on the camera. They have 3 different versions of this. It may come packaged with different filters, but they have their standard adapter. They have the one with the control ring, which is the one that I got because when I use all my EF lenses, I like to program that control ring to do something particular, and that way I can use that with all of those EF lenses. And then I think maybe more designed for the video shooter, but obviously a great option is being able to attach filters inside the adapter itself. That way you don't need adapters that won't fit on some lenses in some cases, and would be overly large and difficult to work with in other cases. And so they do make some other drop-in filters, and these work similar to drop-in filters that are on large Canon lenses that they've had for many years out there. And so for those of you who do have an EF lens or a collection of lenses, getting one of these adapters is a no-brainer to kind of make that transition from DSLRs to mirrorless. It's also going to allow you a gateway into a lot of affordable lenses out there. And so somebody who's starting brand new into the system, but you just want to get some affordable options, get one of those adapters and look for one of the many, many millions of EF lenses that are available on the used market. So hopefully you got some more ideas on which direction you want to go with lenses now.